Hey everybody, Sierra here. Welcome to my channel, Red TV Plays. If you're just watching the beginning of this video, then you already know what game I'm going to be talking about in today's video for today. That's right, it is Red Dead Redemption, made by Rockstar Games in 2010, and then it got re-released back in 2023. And this was my 136 platinum. I just got this game platinum close to a week ago, and I was very happy to be reintroduced to the game altogether. So real quick, you guys, I just wanted to let you all know that this will be number one of two parts to this series. I do apologize for that, but I didn't have enough room for more clips. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get straight to the video. Before we get started with today's video, you guys, don't forget to like, subscribe to my channel for more upcoming videos. Alright everybody, so welcome to Red Dead Redemption. We just currently started the game, and I gotta say, PS4 version looks very, very nice. 60 frames a second, you can change the settings and the options. I mean, it just looks so nice. I mean, these graphics are amazing. And one thing I want to mention before we do get started, yeah, the only reason why I'm doing two parts to this video is that the app that I use, you guys, it only allows 100 clips. So I didn't have enough room for more clips, so I couldn't do Undead Nightmare on this video at the same time. So, well, we'll just have to work with what we can do. So anyway, I made my way to Fort Mercer, and what happens is John tries to get Bill Williamson to surrender, and the government has John's family captured until he actually kills him. So that's Bill Williamson right there in his gang. And then he shoots John and injures him, and then he is instantly saved by the McFarlanes. So there's Drew and Bonnie McFarlane that saves his life, takes him in, and so on. And then the good news is you get your very first trophy right at the beginning of the game. So basically, yeah, that's a good thing right there. Over time, you end up meeting new people. Some of them are crazy as hell, but then some of them are funny, and I love that about the game. So you hang out with Bonnie McFarlane. You help her around like night job, and then you do horse breaking. She teaches you how to capture a horse and all that stuff. She gives you a rope. I mean, there's a lot of things that you do with her before you really jump out there, and it is an absolute great journey. So over the course of the game, you're gonna have a lot of fun with this. And the good news about the PS4 version, there is absolutely 0 online trophies. So the next part right here, I had to do a race against Bonnie. Bonnie challenged me to a race, and I ended up winning. So when you start off with the horse and everything, you know, you do have a certificate for the war horse, but honestly, it's an okay horse, but it does loses its stamina pretty fast. So I usually tap the X button so I could get some of the stamina back and everything. But yeah, it was pretty good after that, though. I ended up winning this race, and I wasn't complaining afterwards. But anyway, John started getting, you know, being friends with her and everything. Bonnie helps him out and everything, and that's where the story picks up, you know. And then afterwards, you just, you just do things with her. You take her down, go into a carriage, or whatever you call this, stagecoach, and you make your way down to Armadillo, where you get your first medicine bottle. You get it for free, and then afterwards, that's pretty much where the story will start. Then you can go do missions for Marshall, and you can do all kinds of other things here as well. You can even check out the general store of all their stuff, and I'll explain a lot of things during this video. There's a lot of things that you have to get. There's a lot of things you have to do in order to get the redeem trophy. So there's a redeem trophy for 100% progress, and then you'll eventually get it and do different missions and stuff. So I ended up making my way into the sheriff's office, and then I met the marshal and his deputies, and some of them were just completely nuts. I mean, there's Jonah, and I think the other guy's name, I forget, Hill or something like that. Jonah and Hill or something like that. I don't know. But that's Jonah right there. And then you meet the marshal in just a few moments. But yeah, what I like about the game, though, was that the graphics looked amazing. And I thought it looked awesome on the PS4. I mean, you have that 60 frames a second, and you can set it to performance mode and all that stuff. You can literally customize your settings in the options menu. Just check it out and stuff. I mean, it's amazing. But anyway, in order to get the 100%, you gotta do many bounties in the game. You gotta get 20 bounties done, 8 in West Elizabeth, 8 in New Austin, and then you gotta get 4 in the Mexico area. So that's basically what you gotta do. You gotta do all challenges, get all outfits unlocked. You have to shoot and skin all animals, and all that stuff, but I'll explain some of it later. So, right after this cutscene right here, I ended up getting another, I met my very first stranger in the area, right next to the sheriff's office, and her little boy was actually missing, so I eventually found him, but he was already dead. He probably got eaten up by coyotes or something. But then I go back to Bonnie's place, and she and John talks and stuff, and then I make my way back out and everything, and do a mission with the marshal, where I'm in Pike's Basin, killing these enemies, getting them all cleared out here, and just getting rid of every one of these guys out of the area and stuff, and clearing it out and everything. And another thing about Pike's Basin is that this area is also a hideout for enemies. So this is one of those hideouts that you can do and everything. And then you also save a person's life as well here while you're doing a mission with the marshal and all that. So yeah, it's it pretty much makes sense there. But the storyline is really good, so just take your time through it. There's 57 missions in all, including the ones at the end of the game. So, yeah, that pretty much tells you a lot right there. Next thing to talk about is horse breaking. So, Bonnie will teach you how to do horse breaking. So, when you do horse breaking, you're basically capturing a horse with a rope. And then you get up on top of it, you gotta balance yourself, and you do one of those at every region, and then you'll get some percentage up for the redeem trophy. That's basically what you have to do in this game and stuff. I mean, it's pretty easy, honestly. Just take your time on it. And then right after this, I was just, I was, finding more horses. I was looking for some of the horses that are required for a trophy, and then I eventually found them like in the tall trees area and stuff like that. Then I met another stranger who wanted me to find a strange man, a friend in Thieves Landing, so I went there, captured a bounty, and brought him back to Armadillo alive. Then got a trophy for that, so that was the easiest trophy right there, and you get a lot of money from doing that. And yeah, that was absolutely easy right there, so be sure you do that to get percentages done. And then I found this guy who was a cannibal, and he was going to eat this guy that was tied up. So what I did was I ended up shooting him. I couldn't get a good grip on his, a good aim on his head, and then I got a trophy for that. Made my way to, I forget where I was going here, but I ended up doing this mission right here, and I ended up getting the Gunslinger trophy for killing enemies with your pistol. And then right afterwards, I meet Wes Dickens. He's a nut, sells elixir, but he actually cracks me up sometimes. And then afterwards, I ended up playing a game of Horseshoe, got a ringer. My advice to you guys, to get the trophy, be sure to use John's finger as it's poking out like behind the horseshoe, and then you'll get the trophy for that. And it was pretty easy, so just take your time on it. Then, as for the challenges, there are some challenges you gotta do to get progress. One right here that I'm doing, I'm on the edge of a cliff, and I was trying to get a piece of treasure on this edge of the cliff. I was kind of scared because, I was afraid I was going to fall off the cliff. And then right when you press the triangle button or the Y button on Xbox, you end up getting a piece of gold and another piece of the map. So the challenge is, there's a treasure hunter one, and there's 10 of them that you have to find. So it's not that hard, but just look up a guide for that. But anyway, this part right here is another stranger mission, and I had to find flowers for his wife, but she's dead. So.
But it's a fine air and the good living up here in New Austin that keeps us so young and full of vigor. Annabelle was mentioning she wants to go up to Blackwater, ride one of those newfangled motor cars, huh? No bumpy old horse carriage for my angel.
That's a good idea, Billy. I should get going.
Well, you haven't had your tea. And Annabelle baked her special blackbird pie.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Billy. I must have forgot. I've got an appointment with Planet Earth. Nice to meet you, ma'am.
Farewell, John. Stop by any time. Oh, we play bridge on Thursdays.
Hope you enjoyed that clip right there. But then afterwards, I ended up meeting Seth, and he is a total douchebag. I don't know, he's cuckoo, psycho, whatever you want to call it. But I ended up meeting him because he's also another person that helps me into Fort Mercer. So while John's on his journey to look for Bill Williamson and to track him down, next thing I did was I just went straight to doing the mini games. I already did horseshoes. Next game I was going to go with was Liar's Dice. This is one of my favorite mini games to play. This right here was actually really easy because there's 2 trophies for winning this. One is by winning all mini games in the game itself. And then the second one is winning without losing any dice. So that one's easy. You just gotta be careful on looking at your dice and everything, and if they say like a number is like, more than what they think it is, like if somebody said 7 5s or anything like that, say bluff. But that's pretty much it right there. Then I went straight to the general store and sold everything I had in my inventory and stuff. And then I eventually got a trophy just for doing that. I sold a couple of items and got a trophy. Made my way to do a hideout at Twin Rocks. And then you meet up with this stranger that's at the edge, and he wants either his wife saved, or he wants his cattle back, or you have to do something for the army and all that stuff. But you eliminate all the enemies and stuff. So that's what you basically do here. It's basically like a survival thing, but it is a lot of fun. And there's 2 in Mexico or 3 in Mexico that you do. There's a few in West Elizabeth that you do. So it's really not that hard, but you do get trophies for completing, like 2-3 areas at once. And then there is one challenge that you have to do, though. In order to get 100% and unlock one of the outfits, you do have to go travel around to different hideouts and defeat them all in a 24-hour period time. So my advice to you guys on that is travel with a really fast horse, whether it's the Hungarian half-bred, the war horse, anything like that. Have some horse pills with you. Be sure to use them, because you're going to need to get to and from different places in a record time in order to get that trophy. And also, just get all that done. And then you'll have that outfit unlocked, and then you're one step closer to getting the redeemed trophy. So after I completed the Twin Rocks hideout, I met Irish, and he's a broken down drunk, and he helps me obtain like a Gatling gun, and he helps me across the river to get to Mexico and stuff. Then I had to do a race for West Dickens, where it gets me $1,000, so that West Dickens can put like this like plates on his like stagecoach, and it will he'll put the Gatling gun in the back of his stagecoach. And then we'll make our way to Fort Mercer in the game. So that's basically what happens and stuff. Is, all that happens right there, like later in the game and before you make it to Mexico. But the biggest part about it, though, is this game's not really hard. It is a bit of a grind, but it's not as hard as you think. But after you win the race, you get $1,000, and then you give the money to him. You give it to him, and then he'll get his stagecoach already. Then I met another stranger who wanted me to find his girl, and the bad part was I went all that way, and his girl was actually a horse. And I was like, what in the crap? But that was the most creepiest stranger mission I've ever did right there. And I thought this couldn't get any weirder, but I guess I was wrong, honestly. But yeah, that's basically what I did. I did a lot of the stranger missions, and then eventually I got my percentage up a little bit, and I was alright with that. But anyway, I did another mission with the marshal where I made it to this location right here. I always forget the name of this location, but it's a hideout, and there's some enemies here that you have to kill. then you have to say, find treasure for Seth and everything. And then things don't work out right, honestly. And so, yeah, that's basically what happens right there. And then there's an enemy. I thought I got them all. So, unfortunately, the treasure, it really wasn't a treasure. So, basically, worked our way upstairs for that, and it wasn't a treasure. It was just a glass eyeball. So yeah, pretty sad, honestly. But then I ended up getting my next trophy, which was called Bullseye, where you get 250 headshots with any gun on enemies. So yeah, I love doing that anyway. And then I saved the guy at the same time. And then this part right here, I had to do Fort Mercer. Where I had to take out Bill Williamson's gang, and then, I had a Gatling gun and everything. Sometimes it ain't easy trying to aim with this thing because the controls are a bit, you know, like the controls are loose sometimes on this gun and everything. But yeah, but this is like towards this is like towards the 500 kills that you need with a mounted weapon. So, in the game, there's a trophy where you have to get 500 mounted kills with either a cannon or a Gatling gun. But I ended up getting most of my kills in, of course, in Undead Nightmare. So, you can get the kills in less than 30 minutes on that. And it was actually pretty easy. So you gotta be sure to save your game like every few moments, but then afterwards it's really not a big deal and stuff. Actually pretty easy and everything. So just take your time through it and then you'll get it done in a matter of time. So after I defeated that mission, I ended up getting my next trophy called Land of Opportunity. And yeah, I'm not too shabby on that. The next part I did was I was on a raft with Irish, and he was taking me across to Mexico, and I had to make my way there because I heard that Bill Williamson was in that area, and well, it ended up not being true. So he was in, he kept disappearing and everything, and I had to find him and everything. So this part right here, I had to defend me and Irish, and yeah, while I was doing most of the shooting, all he was doing was ducking most of the time, and he wasn't helping me at all. And the good news about this mission, though, is I ended up getting gold on it, a gold medal on it, because of the most of the aim that I was doing in the game. On Red Dead Redemption, I'm actually really good at headshots most of the time, but I ended up getting at least like 65-70% of the headshots mostly, and I actually liked shooting with a rifle more than I do a pistol or a revolver. But yeah, there was a couple of times where I nearly died. But I was getting headshots left and right here, but I was also trying to prevent myself from dying, or else the checkpoint would have been about 2 minutes before I, landed at this point right here. But I was actually getting my shots on point while I was on this rafter, and I was actually pretty happy about that. And I ended up getting my very first gold medal on this mission right here from all the accuracy. All the accuracy and the number of headshots I got during this. And then by the time the ending happened, I jumped off the raft, and there's two horses waiting for me and Irish, and then we went our separate ways, and that was it, and I got the trophy for a gold medal. So yeah, I was actually pretty happy on that. Next thing I did was I went to the next area. I had to travel pretty far to the to one of the places in Mexico, and I met this guy named Landon Reyes. He's actually a really chill guy. He kind of reminds me of Sam Elliott, you know, and all that, but but yeah, I thought he was really cool. One of my favorite characters in the game. And then one of these trophies, I did another trophy here where you have to hog tie a woman to and take her to a train track and then have her get run over by a train. So I ended up getting that done, and ew, that was pretty gross right there. But I ended up getting a trophy for that. And then on this part right here, I wanted to play another mini game of Liar's Dice to get the trophy called No Dice, and I ended up winning without losing any dice, and I was actually pretty happy about that. So I ended up getting that trophy done, and then I found yet another treasure, so that was my seventh one right there. So I needed two more to get the treasure hunting challenges done. And then I was making my way to do the next hideout, which was Fort Mercer. So I did the hideout Fort Mercer. It was actually not that bad. It was actually really fun. I met somebody outside of Fort Mercer who needed my help to get in, and I ended up killing all the enemies, and then, you know, went into the treasure room. He said I could have both of the treasures, and it ended up being about $320 in cash, and so I wasn't disappointed in that at all. So I just took the money and stuff, and then I was done with that part right there. And so yeah, I was saving my money to get most of the weapons in the game that I needed to get progress done, and also a trophy. So yeah, I was saving my money up and everything. Next one right here was I was doing another hideout, and this right here was where I had to save a woman from being you know, being strangled, another guy being strangled on, and all that. So I shot that guy in the head and got another trophy. And then I met up with somebody in Mexico who wanted me to do a hideout and help him out and everything. So I ended up completing Nozzolita, and then got another trophy for that. So I was on a roll with the objectives and everything. Then I did a mission for Diego where I had to you know, stop this area and clear out all of the enemies, and that's what I did. And I took my time through it because I like taking easy shots on enemies. So when I did, I started sniping some of the enemies and used my rifle and all that stuff. And even though I'm not that good at sniper rifle in this game, I still like shooting the enemies and all that with it. But I'm always afraid I'm gonna shoot a friendly and stuff, because that's happened to me a couple times. But anyway, I have to meet Diego up at upstairs and everything, and then things start going south for me, because what ends up happening here, I ended up doing another hideout called Gaptooth Breach, and then I think I did another mission and everything, where Diego actually betrayed you in the game. But then before I had to do anything, I had to take this you know, guy to Armadillo, or for him to get, sent to jail and all that. But then I got that trophy was for killing 500 enemies with rifles. And then this part right here was where, you have to go save Diego and everything. But then things start going sour on this mission because you end up getting betrayed, as I mentioned. So, yeah, this part right here actually infuriated me. Thinking that Diego was my friend and everything, it ended up not being true. Diego actually used John for, clearing out all the enemies in each area and stuff. So, yeah, Diego used John, and it's really not that fair, to be honest. Just ends up knocking him out and everything. And, yeah. So the next part right here is after you kill Javier Escuela, you give his body to the government, and that's one of the men that you needed to do. You needed to give to them for the release of your wife and son. So I ended up getting another trophy for that. And then I killed Bill Williamson later on in a mission. And then got another trophy after that for, killing him and also completing the mission and everything. And then I was actually pretty happy with all the progress I was making. Right when I was towards the end and I saved John's wife and child and everything, I was already like at 72%. I ended up getting another trophy, and then right when I saved up all my money and everything, I went to the gun shop and bought another gun that I needed, which was the last gun I needed, called the Lamont Revolver. Really good weapon, if I do say so. So be sure that you get all the weapons in the game, all the maps and everything. This part right here, I wanted to let you all know, you can buy the rare horses in the game, like the Hungarian Half-Bred, American Standard, or the Kentucky Saddler, but each one of them cost a lot of money. And instead of that, I ended up going right straight to do the the last part of a stranger task, and that's what I ended up doing. So I ended up taking a stagecoach to make it there, and I eventually did it, and it was pretty easy after that. So I ended up making my way all the way towards where Thieves Landing is, kind of, and then I just did that, and then I was all done. Last thing I had needed to do was I caught up on my horse and everything, and then made my way to location on my map and everything. But one thing is, when you make it to tall trees, you need to be careful because there's bears, and I mean bears, in that area. So one of the trophies, you gotta kill 18 bears in the game and skin them. So you need to be very careful, because if one bear shows up, another one will end up showing up behind you. So yeah, be very careful of that, you guys, because yeah, that can happen depending on which area that you're at. And so yeah, it's not really that hard, but if I do have to say which weapon to go with, I would go with the Buffalo Rifle. Next thing I did was I betted more than $10,000 in poker. I got the trophy for that, and I ended up winning instantly for High Roller. And that was the easiest part. All you gotta do is have an outfit to where you can do high stakes gambling, high stakes poker, and then you can instantly get the trophy easily. The other trophy I also went with was where you kill buffalo. So you kill all the buffalo in the game, and then you'll get a trophy called Manifest Destiny. And then you don't have to worry about skinning them, but if you want to, go ahead. And then I found my last horse, which was the American, the American, I don't know, it's the American something, but it was the last horse I needed, and then I got another trophy for Bucking Awesome, so yeah, I ended up getting that done, so I wasn't too disappointed in that. And then last but not least, I ended up getting the pistol kills, where you have to kill 500 enemies with your pistol or revolver 500 times. It doesn't matter about the, headshots or any of that stuff. You just kill them any way you want to and everything. So I got the trophy for that. Next thing I ended up doing was I ended up doing another mission for the government in order to get wife and child back, but then all of a sudden I accidentally killed a bounty by accident, and that's where I got all the bounties finished and got that trophy. And then there's this guy that I refused to kill somebody for him, and he was a priest, so he was going to raise my rent or any of my stuff and everything, but I ended up completing all stranger tasks. And then right towards the end, I was already at 72% game completion, and I was getting so close to beating the game. So the next thing I ended up doing was getting the rest of the treasures, and I ended up finding another treasure up in Tall Trees area in the mountain area. And then I ended up getting the Frontiersman trophy. Then the next thing I ended up doing was I ended up looking at something. Oh yeah, I was doing a sharpshooter thing where I had to shoot a duck. So I ended up getting the unnatural selection trophy from completing our sharpshooter, challenges. By the time I was done, I was already at 76%. So I kept on going, and I eventually found myself dead. I got killed by a bunch of enemies. I was going to save that person, and I was only down by one blooming little area after using all the maps in the game. So I ended up at the last area in the game, and I found myself at the last location that I needed in the game. There's 94 areas in the game that you have to look for, and most of them you can find by buying maps. And then out of nowhere, Dutch Vanderland, he was in the police station, and he was taking people hostage. So he and his gang was taking people hostage. He ended up killing that girl right there, and so we had to track him down and kill him and everything. And then we end up getting shot or getting knocked out and whatever. And then we end up waking up and stuff. And so yeah, I don't know. It's kind of weird on this one, but we ended up getting the trophy called a Savage Soul. And then right afterwards, I was in the Tall Trees area, and there was a whole bunch of enemies and stuff. So I started working on doing my explosive, challenges, because, that's basically what you do and everything. And I ended up getting my fame at maximum. And then on this part right here, there's there's a lot of different things to do before I reach my 100% game completion. And the government was here, and I was actually quite surprised about that. So I made my way back home, and I met with Abigail, Jack, and here's Uncle right here. And then what happens next was unfortunate. John actually saves his family, and he ends up getting killed. There was one more little area, one more thing I had to do, and I had to do this hideout again. So right before I made my way back home, I had to do this hideout with only axes. So I ended up using the tomahawks and everything for the tomahawk challenge, and I ended up getting a trophy. Then after John ends up getting killed, you play as Jack Marston. You get a trophy called Into the Sunset, where you beat the game. And then you make your way, and I started doing things that I needed to finish before I went up against Edgar Ross. So I ended up saving people's life, and I ended up helping people, doing my explosive rifle mastery challenges, and so. And then I finally got my percentage up a little bit more. Then, while riding the Hungarian half-bred horse, I ended up escaping from U.S. Marshals, and that was the easiest trophy. So you got to get your bounty at least over 500, and I ended up getting that trophy and stuff like that. So right afterwards, I ended up getting the next trophy, where you have to get your bounty up to over $5,000, and then you got to go to this. You got to go to a train station and give them a pardon letter. Then afterwards, I ended up getting a trophy for that. So yeah, I was pretty happy about that. It took about 30 minutes to get that much money. Then I went to a saloon. Then I went to a saloon and got drunk, because I was pretty happy with all my progress I made so far. So I figured, why not just go drinking and stuff. Had 2 drinks, and then made my way back out into the open. And I just figured, why not, because, I had nothing else to do anyway. So I just made my way into the sunset. This was actually a very beautiful scene right here. I was kind of afraid I was going to get run over by a train, so I just moved on up and everything. But yeah, that's actually a really beautiful scene right there. Then I killed another bear right here, and I think this one was my last bear, and I got the trophy called Barely Legal. And so yeah, pretty easy trophy right here. Just kill 18 bears and skin them, and then you got the trophy. And then on this part right here, this part right here was, I had to call my horse for this part, but I don't even remember what I was doing on this part right here, but I was kind of noticing that there's some glitches in this game, like you see right there. That was like weird right there. And so yeah, I in the game also, you have to look for legendary animals, like a legendary bear named Brumas. You gotta look for a cougar, a wolf, and a boar. You gotta look for some of the legendary animals in the game. And then right after that, it adds progress to you. So your last 5% progress will be this. And then right after I completed everything, and I mean everything, I was ready to go up against Edgar Ross. So I found his brother camped out not too far away from him. And then I asked him where his position was. And then, right afterwards, he told me where he was located. And he was located right up at the stream doing some fishing. So Jack made his way to Edgar Ross, introduced himself as John Marston's son, and then it was time for a duel of a lifetime. So he was located right here, and I made my way to his location. I took my horse up there where he was, and I was ready for it. And then, last but not least, I won the duel. Got the last 5% I needed for the trophy redeemed. And then, that was the end of the journey. I was actually pretty proud of myself for remembering most of the stuff from the PS3 version. So 2 straight years ago, I ended up getting the platinum on this game on PS3, and now I have the platinum for PS4. And I was actually pretty happy. I got 2 trophies on the last part, but I wasn't finished there. In this part right here, I had to knock out somebody in all saloons in the game, and then I got another trophy. And then that was pretty easy. There's 7 saloons in the game. I mean, how hard can it be, right? It really wasn't that hard. And then there was one more trophy I needed to get to finish it off. Spurred to Victory. Now that trophy right there was where you have to use the same horse for 20 missions without changing horses at all. So I kept the same horse for 20 missions, and by the time I did the second mission in Mexico, I ended up getting the trophy, and I was pretty happy with that. So yeah, you guys, that's the end of it right there. Well, that's it, you guys. I'm going to go mosey on over to the sunset and with my horse and just eat a can of beans. But anyway, you guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to like, subscribe for more upcoming videos in the future. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. I will see you guys in the next couple of days where I talk about Red Dead Undead Nightmare. It may be a shorter video, but it will be a good video for you guys to watch. Thank you so much, and thank you for visiting my channel, Red TV Plays. Have a great day, everyone.